Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, we are live with Creativity in Focus, a show, a live podcast where we highlight an artist every single week. Before we get started, first of all, we are a little late. That's the joy of technology, but we are here now. So make sure to stop doing what you're doing because this is going to be a fun time, relaxing time, and informal chat with an amazing artist. The other thing is, this is content only. Nobody's going to try to sell anything. So we ask you to share this video as soon as possible. Right at the beginning is the best time possible that you could do that. And you can share everywhere, including groups, because like I said, it's content only. If you can take the time also to give us a like, a heart, fantastic. But what we really enjoy is when you interact with us. This is a live podcast for the reason that we love your interaction. First of all, let us know where you are in the world. But then, in any point where you want to ask a question or a comment or even share an experience, because as artists, we share many experiences, well, do that. You have a comment box, a chat box, wherever you're watching is usually either below the video or beside the video, depending on where you're watching. So use that to interact with us. We really love that, okay? And of course, podcasts, they stay on forever, so you can revisit as many times as you want, and you are going to find us on creativityinfocus.com. That's the best place because you can actually watch all the past episodes. But you can also go to our Facebook page, Creativity in Focus, YouTube, Curious Mondo, iTunes, and everywhere else where you find podcasts. Subscribe to that because all these things that really for you takes just a second are really crucial for us to have awareness, to create awareness, to get the word of mouth that we all desperately need when we have something or a message or even better, a mission to highlight artists out there. So it only takes a second, but makes a huge difference. And we are very thankful for that. With that said, today my guest is Beverly Oliwa from Canada. She is do you refer yourself as a sculptor? Or how do you like to...
An artist.
An artist, because you never know tomorrow too, right?
Well, it's more encompassing and it's broader.
That's true. Very good.
Yeah.
And Beverly, today she works with a fabric hardener making garden sculptures. And we are going to, we're going to start showing some of your pieces so people can get more familiar with what you do.
Excellent.
And then we are going to talk more with you. And of course, the very lucky husband, Jack, that is here with us. Because the life of an artist has many layers and many facets. And we want exactly to talk about that. Beverly was on another episode of Creativity in Focus a few months ago, but things have changed so much that, I think it's going to inspire you even more. So make sure you pay attention today and then you revisit that podcast so you can see the contrast of what has happened, not only in her life, but on the pieces, because she took a whole, a whole new drive for those pieces, right?
I'm not even sure what to describe it as well too, Shahar. It's just, I have more courage.
Much more courage. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at some of your pieces and please comment and tell a little bit of the story behind each one.
So the one up there is a brand new one that I've just finished. One of the exciting things that have happened since we spoke last is I have an opportunity to show things at the Mutart Conservatory. The theme, which is Pyramid Gardens, it's one of the major attractions in the city of Edmonton. And the theme of that showing is out of this world. So I thought it would be very nice to have a fairy in it, but I didn't want it to be a little fairy. She's a big fairy. She's almost as tall as you.
Oh my gosh! No, don't tell that to people.
So she's going to be 4 feet. She's almost 4 feet tall, and I was really struggling with her as to how to put her arms. I knew what her body looked like. I knew what the dress looked like, but I couldn't figure out the arms. And then I had a little bird that was done in my studio, and just in the fixing up, the hair kind of landed up getting the way it wanted to be, and I'm really happy with how she turned out. She's actually pretty exquisite.
Okay, just to make it clear, I'm 5 feet, so I could call her Shorty.
Okay, good.
Do we have more to show? Let's take a look. Let's see what we have there.
Oh, and that's
piece?
just some of her wings that I have done.
So did you use t-shirt or what for that?
No, that's that fabric we were talking about during the class today, and that's that cotton muslin. That it's thicker than cotton gauze, but it's not a strictly woven fabric. And I love working with it because it really allows me to really have this texture. And what's really cool is you can't see this here, but when the light shines through it, you can almost see through it. And with the paint job that I've done on it, it's iridescent, and they almost look like a fly wing would look. Ooh, so they're really cool. She's going to be on display right in a garden. So I'm super excited about that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, so her wings, and this
famous heron.
Another heron. This one's a shorter one, and I've been playing with some new poses. You know, before I kind of just got into the rhythm of doing some basic standard things, and one of my students came and did a heron with that pose of the neck going down, and I quite loved it, and that inspired me to create this one. And his name is I Spy because he has seen a fish, and he is just ready to go and grab it.
The beak. What is the beak made of?
Paverpol and t-shirts.
Oh, the beak too?
Yeah, yeah. Whoa. And how I do the beak and how I do the head is something special that has evolved as I've been working on the pieces, and it's evolved over time, and it really has become part of my signature of what I do with my herons.
And the herons is something that you told me is one of your best sellers, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because number one, they're a big statement piece, and they're something that people really relate with, and the biggest challenge I have as an artist is people coming, because when they go to an event or a venue and they're looking for art, they're thinking either something to wear or something to put in a room or on a wall.
They're not expecting this.
But they're not expecting to be able to decorate their garden. Okay, so my biggest challenge when I see someone is to say, I'm creating art for your yard. And you can literally see them go,
and it's not a wind chime, right?
No, and it's not a wind chime, and they're just like, they're dumbfounded. So it's the biggest challenge that I have is having them, because often people will go to these venues with an idea of what they're looking for, a spot they need something for. So my goal this year is to really get them to figure out where in their yard that heron's going to look amazing.
And that's a big piece too, like 4 or 5 feet, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly, yeah.
Sandy is saying, hi, Jack.
Hello, how are you?
We had many requests for the husband to be here with us. So tell me a little bit, how is the life of the husband of an artist?
It's very interesting.
Never boring.
I never expected to be doing any of this, but behind every successful woman, there's a husband. I'm the husband. I'm the grunt, as I call myself. So whatever she does, I do all the heavy work for her and just support.
Yeah, that's what we need,
the support is there. Sometimes she throws ideas off me, and I have a different idea, so I let her know. And once in a while, she changes it. Not often, but
sometimes she takes your idea.
Yeah, sometimes she takes my advice.
Well, the cool thing is because he's not invested in it as much as I am. He comes up with some stuff, and I'm like, I love that. It's such a great idea. And even we did the Nights of Artists Art Walk, and after we sat down and did the debriefing thing about it, and he came up with so many great ideas, and I'm like, honey, why didn't we talk about this before? Because there were things that could totally have worked and made the show more successful. So he's a very, very valuable part.
We had to go through one to see it first.
Yeah.
See how it works and everything.
We wouldn't have thought of those ideas from scratch.
Yeah, and that's the important part of trying out stuff. Now, when you got married, you didn't know you were marrying an artist, right? Because she didn't know she was an artist.
No, that's the last thing I expected coming out of
really?
out of her. Yeah.
So when she was there one day that she came and said, "Honey, I'm an artist," or how did that happen?
I'm not sure how it happened. It's just.
It has been an evolution, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It has been over years and years and years now. It's she's always had a creativity. She sewed. She did party light. Anything she did has been always really good.
Nice. Nice. Cool.
And it's been interesting too, because when we do home renovations and stuff, I will get this vision of what it's going to look like, and I'm like, we're going to do this, this, and this, and And he looks at me as if to say, I don't think so. And I'm like, no, we got to do it. And 9 out of 10 times, I think even 10 out of 10 times, eh?
No.
By the time it's done, he's like, honey, that looks really good.
That's
so
cool. That's cool.
So he's learned not to second guess my judgment. So
Now,
that's cool.
Beverly, you mentioned several times art walks. Do we have pictures to show of that?
Actually, I did. There's
yes?
one of me in an art walk, and then there's one just a picture of an art walk, and it's some shameless promotion for Gossamer Treasures, which is my next art walk coming up as well too. But it'll show you exactly.
We heard that before. That many people are not used to that term. So
yeah. Okay.
Tell us exactly why we show the picture. What it is.
And so this is inside the Knights of Artists, and so this was a big building that the Knights of Artists rented, and whatever arrangement they made, but there was 60 artists in here, and we each had a booth, a 10 by 10 booth. So it's like a trade show, but it's all artists. Okay. And this one we were lucky because it was indoors, so we could set up and stay in there. So that was fabulous. And
especially
then,
where you live, right?
Absolutely. And because this one was held in March, so
too cold,
it was still too cold. And in fact, even on that day, it was snowing, if I remember right. But a beautiful venue for us and stuff. And people, and what's really cool is sometimes the art walks, what happens is people come looking for art because they know that that's who's being shown. So it's a targeted market. Sometimes they're just there to enjoy the day because it's a nice day. But 9 out of 10 times they know that we are pitching art, to put it bluntly, you know, type of stuff. So they come. So they come looking for that piece that's going to reach out to them and grab them.
And it's only artists, so it's not
only
mixed
artists.
with anything else.
No, and generally most art walks do, and sometimes there'll be, some of them will have food, but there's no multi-level marketing and, you know, things bought from China type of stuff. So there, a lot of them even have criteria that it needs to be handmade as well too. A lot of the art walks are juried, and so what that means is you need to kind of pass the litmus test of being good enough to be part of their show, and the Knights of Artists certainly is, and even the Wabaman one that's coming up is juried as well too. They want to see what kind of work you have. They want to see that, number one, you're going to be good enough, and they want to make sure that there's a diversity happening in what's being displayed so that people have a lot to look at.
You have no competition on the garden part then?
Very little. There is another artisan in our market that does do art walks as well too, and sometimes we're even in the same art walk. But the cool thing is her style is different than mine. And the challenge that we both have is that nobody knows about Paverpol. So they come in and they're just like, what?
And you say that, and in Canada it's actually quite popular, a lot
even
more than
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. It's way more popular than here, and people just are not familiar with it. So it's good because she will introduce people, I will introduce people, and then they'll go see her work, and they'll go see my work, and then they'll pick and decide whose style they like better.
Good.
So it's
I
good.
like the fact that it's juried. I like the concept because one challenge many times for artists is to find the right venues to display their work. And many times when you go to bazaars and mix with crafts, not there is anything wrong with that, but the problem is that usually the attendee is there to buy something that is $10, $15, and then you end up not selling because of that. Because, you know, they occupy a different category price-wise as well. So it becomes a challenge. So art walks are a great idea. Now, we have here, let me see, Deborah saying hi, and Sandy saying that is great teamwork, husband and wife. And guest 781, how many hours per week do you dedicate to your artwork?
Ooh, that's a really good question because before
48 hours a day,
more or less,
according to the husband.
Every time, honey, what about dinner? Nope, not today.
There's been days. No, there's been days that, thank goodness, Jack will bring food down for me, type of stuff. Because I've been so busy since we met last, and since that last art walk, the last interview that I had done, my business has exploded in the number of pieces that I'm selling, the people that are wanting to display my art, and just the venues that I've got booked as well too. So I've been very busy, and I would say right now I'm probably spending 20 to 30 hours. Would that be?
Oh yeah, easy.
Easily that much right now because
I've
just because I've got well, the thing is a lot of stuff just unfolded very quickly, and all of a sudden, and there was one night we were sitting down and I was just doing the list of all the pieces that I need, and I'm like, I'm still 3 or 4 pieces short. And I'm heading to Salt Lake in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I better get my butt in gear.
Well, I tell everybody, Chase doesn't buy that, but sleep is overrated. We don't need sleep.
I'm older than you, Shahar. I need sleep.
Well, I need sleep too, it just doesn't happen. Noemi Smith is saying hi too. So, okay, you just mentioned you are working 20 hours. Is that what you said? 20 some hours a week. Is this your only business? Is this the only thing you do for revenue, or do you have other activities?
I also, I'm a multi-level marketer as well too, and what I really love is that the other business that I'm in is about women being beautiful and young and healthy, and I really feel like my art business does that for people as well too. So when I'm teaching, I'm teaching them for self-care, because that's totally for me what the art is, and my other business is all about self-care as well too. So it's been interesting because each business will bring me people, and there's a lot of crossover. There's been a lot of crossover.
What about you, Jack? What do you work with, or do you still work?
Oh yeah, I'm working. I'm a chef by trade, but I'm driving truck right now.
You married a chef?
I did.
Oh my gosh! So you really don't have to think about dinner.
I don't. No, absolutely not. No, it's fabulous.
Yeah. So, and I'm also a grunt. I do all the grunt work for Bev.
Right.
And behind every successful woman, there's a man. That's me.
He really wants that point. Right?
Make sure you haven't missed it.
Yeah.
Now, you said things changed. So tell me what happened. Because I remember the very first time you were here, you said, I'm an artist, but you also said that it took you a while, right, to embrace that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that, and then what happened after you gave your course here?
Well, I'll just kind of give a brief overview. So my husband and I are at that age of thinking about downsizing, and I've always been a craft person, and I had dabbled in the whole textile making statue things as a hobby, right?
Okay.
And it's like, should we sell the house? Should we keep it? We had already had a real estate agent come in to take a look to see. And he's like, this is very nice, but you really need to renovate the basement and get it updated if you want to get top dollar. So we had already made plans. And then I ran into the teacher of teachers at a trade show in December. And and she was looking for people to be certified instructors. And I'm like, bingo, that's it. That's exactly what I can do. So January 1st, we started the renovations. By the end of February, I became certified, renovations were done, and I was hosting my first class of 4 students. And so the natural progression of that is you keep making things, and old Mr. Natterer here, he's like, what are we doing with all this stuff? Like, nobody's buying it down here. And so I remember last year, at the beginning of the year, was it last year or the year before that already? The year before that, my goal that, the whole New Year's resolution thing, and I'm like, I need to start finding some venues to show my pieces because I have too many here, and that's where I landed up finding Gossamer Treasures from a referral of a friend. And then, I've been slowly, got involved in 1 or 2 art walks, and then I tripped across your website. Karen Baker doing a class, and I was just totally hooked, and I'm like, wow. Landed up getting engaged on the site, and Nash and I were having a conversation, and she says, peeking on your site, and I was wondering if, and I'm like, yes, I'm open, like totally. So it was the courage to come here and do that to begin with, and then just before I came, this Nights of Artists, I saw an advertisement for their next art walk, and to me, that's the creme de la creme in the Edmonton market, is that art walk, and I thought,
I need to be there.
If I don't ask, I don't get in there. The answer's no, right? So I sent off an email and said, hey, my name's Bev, this is what I do, don't know if you're looking, but if you are, would you be interested? And just as after I got back, they said, yes, we'd love your work. So seeing that just took me off into the deep end. So not only did I come back from this feeling like, I can do this. That was amazing. Like, I finished that class and I didn't feel like I left anything on the table. I felt like I had given them everything I had, and I felt really amazing with all the, the great comments from all the students and stuff.
Yes.
Poor Jack, he had a hard time with me when I first got home because I was a little full of myself.
I looked at that class. Everybody's talking about it.
And so then I got into the Nights of Artists, and that just kind of opened up a whole bunch of doors, because all of a sudden you're not like, I'm an artist. I'm like, no, I'm an international teacher,
right?
And I am a Nights of Artists alumni. And so I think it's just that throwing back of your shoulders and throwing up your head that just gives you that whole
courage.
Oh,
Really,
who is
to-
this? Yeah. And so while we were at the Nights of Artists, the other thing that happened, and this is a really cool story, and I had met her in the fall before at an art walk, and her name is Ellie, and she's with the Sculptors Association.
Oh.
Okay, and so these are the people that have stone and
Yes.
wood, and they sculpt. And so she approached me and said, would you like to come into my, would you like to come and be a part of the organization? I'm like, am I good enough? Type of stuff. And then when we were here and we went to the Carvers Association, I thought that's kind of cool. And the textile thing we did, I thought that's cool.
We went to the Wasatch Wood Carvers and the Utah Surface Designers, correct?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and the wool too. That we went to a wool. You took me.
I took everywhere.
You took me everywhere. Exactly. And I thought
I took her places, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, hey.
and I thought that's really cool, and I love the kinship thing that was happening at
it's
that, and I
amazing,
thought
yeah.
that was pretty cool. So when we were at the Nights of Artists, Ellie came back again, and Jack was there. So this is where he helps me too, and he's like, "What? You knew about this and you haven't joined? Like, what the heck?"
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to give her a kick.
Yeah, right?
Kickstart. Yeah.
Okay, you're good.
That's my part of the business.
Yeah, and so off we went to a meeting, and they're getting ready to do this display at these gardens, and it's from the middle of June to the end of September, beginning of September. So all summer long, I'm going to have 6 pieces on display in the gardens, like
And these are the pyramid gardens,
in the
right?
Pyramid Gardens,
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
So it's just been this whole, and I think it's just having the courage to finally step out and go and do, and because of those things, I've really stepped out, and like making the dragons now has been really
going.
quick.
Well, so we are going to talk about those too. But you see, you said a lot of doors open after I gave the class, and of course, Curious Mondo gives a lot of visibility. But the fact is, you went and asked.
Yeah.
And that's what many people don't get it, that they want the doors open, but they never take the action also to go and ask.
Yeah.
You either get a yes or a no, and you're not going to die if you get a no.
A no changes nothing.
And no change, exactly, no change is nothing, but
Yeah.
the yes can change your life, right?
Yeah.
So it's really important to understand that it's talented as you are, being inside the home and not trying, you're not going to get anywhere, right?
Exactly.
I have a few questions here. Guest 781, where do you find your inspiration?
Sometimes it wakes me up in the middle of the night. Sometimes I'll see another piece that someone has done that I respect and admire, and it's like, wow, I wonder if I can do that. And I'll try, and sometimes I get close, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just see an image, and I'm like, that's really cool. What if I did that?
this?
The other thing sometimes that happens, and especially in this medium, is I'll start something, and they'll be like, no.
They talk to you.
I'm talking, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. No, I'm not doing that. Type of stuff.
It wants its own pose.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
it's like, this is how I want to exist, right?
Exactly.
And then
Yeah.
it takes
Yeah.
that.
And if you pay attention, and you have to pay attention when you're working on them, and you'll see it. It'll be a little click. It'll just be like, oh, okay, no, we're good. That's what it wants to
That's
be.
so great.
Yeah.
Sandy is asking, Bev, you are a wonderful teacher and artist, and lucky to have an enabler like Jack. See, official enabler. Well, he was here working, so Beverly is already working on a class she's going to give at Curious Mondo in October, right? And so Jack was helping her make the bases for the herons,
Yeah.
right? And he was the one, we even did a tutorial video there
Yeah.
to use later. So yeah, not only a neighbor, but big supporter. That's very good.
Yeah. When I'm doing the art walks, he's the one that helps me load the van, carts the stuff up and down the stairs. He gives me
Come
ideas.
from one country to
So
another,
my
drive,
chauffeur
right?
driver, yeah, no,
That's so
like
good.
that all matters. And it all helps. And this is probably one of the biggest things that he does for me is when I have a class, because when I teach a class and it's hands-on, I'm exhausted. By the time I'm done that 7-8 hours, I come upstairs and there's nothing
yes.
left, nothing
Yeah.
left. I have a glass of wine and food, and I can literally sit on the lazy boy.
That's the moment you want to be married to a chef.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So before we talk about this next phase, I want to show some more of your work. And what I want you to do is explain the process for people that are watching but they never saw one of your classes.
Okay.
So briefly explain what's the process, what are you using? Because we are talking about garden art, but at the same time, this is textile art, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so let's take a look at one of
Okay.
them. Oh, one of my
This is one of
favorites.
your favorites.
Yes.
And interesting story to this one, because I also teach what I call a free-for-all class. So my students will come with their ideas of what they want to make.
Okay.
And my student wanted to make a rooster, and it was the year of the rooster. I thought, oh, that's a cool idea. So while I'm helping her, I'm also building my own, okay? And so what we do is we take wire and a styrofoam ball and electrical wire, and we will create a form. So we'll create the armature, and then I'll take the old t-shirts. A lot of times it's old t-shirts, and that one I think is probably 90% t-shirts. And I'll dip it in the medium called Paverpol. And in dipping it, that's what colors it, and it what allows me to sculpt with it and do the texture and all of that kind of thing.
So the Paverpol allows you to give color, of course, to sculpt in itself, but also gives the ability of you putting this piece outside, correct?
Being outside, absolutely.
And it will last years with that.
And the year of the rooster, he's ready. He's looking for his forever home.
Oh,
right?
really?
Yeah. He's actually at the Camrose. He's going to be in Camrose has an art walk, and I have 10 pieces on display there over the summer as well too. So he's going to be at one of the art walks there, and that's a piece that will never be done again. Okay, just
Why?
to let you know. Well,
Drove you crazy? The
well,
process?
I started the tail, right? And I thought that'd be really a cool way to get that really cool item on the tail, which was fine for one feather. 2
10,000 feathers later.
I'm like this, and honestly, that piece should be double the price of what it is, but it'll never be done again.
So since
in that
you
manner.
mentioned price, give me a ballpark of how big is that piece?
He stands about 21 inches tall.
Okay.
Okay, and so he's bigger than a rooster. I think bigger than a real rooster. 21 inches tall. $450, but it should be $900. Like
It should be
seriously,
a $900.
for the amount of time I
Right,
put in it.
right.
But I know no one will pay that for him.
So do you have a formula when you price your things, or you just look and say, I think you are worth this much?
It's a combination of everything, and I don't know if I have a strict formula.
Okay.
Basically, my herons, because I teach classes as well too, so the herons, you need to take a beginner class and you need to take the heron class, and so that's $300 of investment and 2 days of your time already. So I charge $400 for my herons. A basic heron is $400. If I get a little fancier with the pose or with what I've done with it, then I'll charge more, you know, type of stuff. But and I feel like that's a fair price, because otherwise you're spending 3 and 2 days of your time, and for $400 you're getting me.
Me, yeah. A unique piece.
And when was the last time you did a basic heron?
Oh yeah, no, they're starting to take a life of their own.
They are changing, right?
Yeah.
So usually when she prices something, do you think her prices are okay, too expensive, not enough?
Oh, she knows what she's putting into it, so I go along with it.
Okay.
Her dragons were amazing when we did them, and she even got the price that she wanted for it, which was really surprising. But
it's just the beginning,
yeah,
Jack.
well, that's
I think she underprices, if you ask my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Behind every artist, there's a good grunt.
I think he wants that point. Okay. Caleb is asking, and I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce it right. Are these waterproof, snowproof?
Yep, absolutely.
Well, in Edmonton, they have to be snowproof,
They have
right?
to be snowproof, waterproof. Exactly. I have pieces that have been out in my gardens now for 4 or 5 years, and I don't bring them in. They just stay outside year round.
But tell Caleb what happens when it's warm, because I think that's a good point.
Okay.
Because that, I think, established what kind of structure you need to have.
Yeah, exactly. So the Paverpol, when it's heated up, it will get soft, okay? And it looks like you can move it around and you can change the form on it, but it gets a memory and it will bounce back. But if your structure is not solid underneath it, then it can end up collapsing. So that's one of the things as an artisan that I'm always very, very careful about, is making sure that my structure is good
armature,
and
the structure is really solid.
Yeah, yeah.
But it will withstand, like here in Utah, we have both, right? We have cold, we have the snow, and we have a very hot summer.
Yeah.
The pieces would still last years.
Absolutely, yeah.
It is really mind-blowing what this product does. No, it is, because I think for sculptors, not you're happy sculpting. I think you're happy sculpting, whatever. But when we think about markets and how open this side of the market is, and what an easier process it is if I compare, for example, creating a sculpture in clay, then finding a foundry and turning that into bronze or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And what you do with your sculptures.
Or even stone. I mean,
Or
to
even
get
stone.
to get a piece that big in stone, I mean, that's half your life taken up, you know.
And the other cool part is that you have proven more and more that they sell really well
Yeah.
as well,
Yeah.
right? Because it's so unique that people.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
Stop
And
it.
it's just like I say, I just feel like I'm finally in that, oh, isn't that, oh, that's that art, you know. So I'm just getting there. So I'm excited to see what next year, this year looks like.
Yes,
After
me
having
too.
had it. And this year I've actually got a solid marketing plan in place where I've got an art walk every month and, you know, and making sure that I've kind of got, and I'm in the right venues as well too, type of stuff. So I've got that unfolded this year.
You were clearly business-minded since I met you. That's clear. Actually, I have to tell you. So you know your side of the story, right? With Curious Mondo. On our side, I think you and Ashley were talking about websites.
Yep.
Generic. And I'm working one day, and she comes in and she says, "You got to see the work that this lady is doing." And I went, yeah. And then she comes back. Did you see the work that she's doing? And that's how I got to meet you,
Yep.
right? Because I said, "Whoa, that's really unique. That's fantastic." So you were always business-minded, but did you always had a plan on how you would go about this, or that kind of happened in an organic kind of way?
It's been totally organic. Totally organic, eh, Jack?
Yep.
Yeah, like I say,
Yeah.
we were at the phase where we're in the house and it's too big for us. And you know, with my other businesses, the house has always paid for itself. And so we're at that point where we didn't want to work at that hard anymore. So it's like, what are we going to do? And then when I saw this and the ability to teach and use that space downstairs and make it viable again, to me that totally made sense.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, like I say, from that it just evolved on to the next.
We had to renovate the house. We had to renovate the house, the basement anyway. So we must
So now,
put it to work.
yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that green wall. It's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
I want to show a picture of the dragon, and my question to you is this. So, what I noticed, right, that since you came to Curious Mondo the first time, you changed as an artist. It looks like you became bolder, right? Tell me a little bit. And that dragon, I think it shows how bold you
and
have
that was-
become.
that was
When I
probably-
looked at that, I really thought, because, you know, I saw the tipsy ladies, I was not expecting a dragon.
Yeah.
And I said, oh my gosh, I mean, it's like in video game, new face.
Yeah.
You got that.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about it.
Well, I got accepted into the Knights of Artists, and I'm sitting down trying to think of what I'm taking, what I'm making. And because we were set up for 4 whole days and I could literally set it up and not take it down every day, I thought, I am taking every big piece I have, and I wanted something different. I wanted something that would make people stop and look.
A feature.
You know, a feature to have a conversation. And for, I don't know, for whatever reason, I was just like, I want to make a dragon. So I started Google searching some images, and that's an image that I saw. And I thought, that could be really cool. And then it's like, I wonder how. And again, being an artist, you're always a problem solver, right? You're always solving problems and thinking out how is this built? What does that armature look like? What could this sit on? And he took me about 3.5 weeks to build, okay? And in there is every process that I have ever done in Paverpol is all incorporated in that. So using the t-shirts, using the fabric, using the Paverplast and the wrappers, like it
has a little bit of
all
everything.
in there. It's
and how
all
big
in.
is that?
Well, Jack and I stand behind it. So as we're sitting here, he's just as wide as we are, and probably 3.5 feet tall. Yeah,
That's amazing. That's
yeah,
an amazing
he's
piece.
really a big piece. And can I tell you the story about when we were making it? So I had this vision of making it, and Mr. Supportive Husband here, he's like, a dragon? Who's going to buy a dragon? I'm like, I don't know. People are excited. I think it'll be okay. that thing's big. It better sell.
getting the whole house.
I'm not lugging that thing around.
Nagging husband, eh?
Oh my gosh, he was just, and he said, that thing better sell. And then, of course, so then we featured at the Nights of Artists. I put the picture on Facebook, and it sold. It literally sold off of a picture on Facebook.
Your opinion changed immediately, right?
Yeah, and so, I mean, he was still disappointed because we had to take it home again as opposed to delivering it out to where it needed to go. So then as we're sitting down and getting ready and figuring out what we're making for the mutard, and Jack says, I think you need to make another dragon. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to make a little one. He goes, no, make it a big one.
Dragons. The dragons are her favorite thing.
The thing about it, it was so big and awkward to move.
Yeah.
And
it's not easy to put in the car.
But
it sold for 6 figures.
Yeah, well, yeah. If I'd known she was going to do this, we wouldn't have bought a little car. We would have bought a big truck. I need a van.
Honey, 5 dragons and we're with a new car.
Exactly, yeah. So
I love dragons.
It's been so interesting to watch the whole evolution process of, because he was at the Nights of Artists and he knows what that venue is, and watching other people interact with my art, I think he's finally believing that I'm an artist as well too. So that's and
good.
having him here too has been really amazing too.
Get educated. She's educated me for the last 40 years too, so continue.
But before, were you exposed to art? Was art part of your life at all?
No.
Not at all, right?
No,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even look at a piece of art.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That's fun. Okay, yeah, I love dragons. You say people, why? I consider myself a dragon tamer.
Yeah.
And I actually have a bunch of necklaces that are dragons that I made.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're awesome animals. Okay. Sandy's asking, how do you explain, this is a very good question, by the way, how do you explain about your art if someone is not familiar with? So you're there, they see, but what is this?
Yeah, so I basically, my short story is I take old t-shirts and turn them into garden art, and I work with a medium called Paverpol.
Okay.
It's like a liquid glue that allows me to take an old t-shirt and sculpt with it. And once it's cured, it's safe to be outside. Once it's cured, it takes 2 weeks, but once that's cured, it's safe to be outside. And invariably, they're looking at it, they're afraid to touch. I'm like, you can go ahead and touch it. And then they get to see that it feels like metal. And from there, you can start seeing the interesting stories happening in their head.
Can I give my 2 cents?
Absolutely.
Well, what I think is this, when we are telling what we do, we need to think about which level we are touching on that person, right? And when you're explaining what you do, you're explaining a process, right? The material that you use. It could be, and I'm taking this, it's impromptu, so don't. Yeah,
I love it. I'm glad we're going to be able to replay this. I don't need to take notes.
If somebody asks you what you do, because it is an unusual thing, but you say, I tell stories and creating memories by using textiles and a hardener component. Because what are you doing? When a person puts a heron in their garden, they're not putting t-shirts with a fabric hardener called Paverpol. I mean, really, it's a commodity. Who cares about that? But it tells a story. It tells your story, the way you see a heron that is different than the way or a dragon, the way I see a dragon. Because I believe I'm a dragon tamer, it's different than the way you see. You see a mythical creature. So when we talk to people and we explain what we do, it needs to be on an emotional level that touches the heart and then the mind. People don't buy with the mind. They buy with the heart and they justify with the mind.
Yeah,
right? And that's the difference between a $200 piece or a $2,000 piece. Right? I can make t-shirt into garden stuff and it sounds like stuff. Or I tell stories and create memories because we know you also use other type of textiles, or they can come to you and say, my grandmother made this granny square and I don't know what to do, and say, let's turn this into a fairy. So then you're preserving memory with that. I mean, my 2 cents. You don't have to, to agree with me.
It's very valuable.
But we as people, we try to explain stuff. Right? And that's not really the point when you're trying to sell something, right? You say, okay, you're in front of me, you're asking me a question because you want me to touch your heart, right? What do I have here? How does it touch your heart? Or maybe it doesn't. But if it does, this is how. How I make it, well, that's a good explanation for a possible student.
Yeah.
The student is
Yeah.
interested in the process itself. Of course, then in the process of selling, you're going to say, you see this rooster, all the feathers one by one, there are 10,000 of them, T-shirts, right?
Yeah.
And then you can explain the process, but you already touched the heart.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, Shahar, that is such a valid point, because, and I've seen it happen many times. People walk by, and then sometimes it's as though an arm has reached out and grabbed that person. They've made a heart connection with one of the pieces on my table, and they want it. They want it.
The moment they look, the story is there.
Yeah.
They might not understand your story in the process, but the story is there. It touched them,
there's
right?
something. Yeah, exactly.
You,
and
and
see
that's
that
what you
happen.
have to highlight.
Yeah, and that's it. So thank you. That's very valuable. Did you hear that? You remind me.
Yes.
Well, you know, because we say it's art, but then we undervalue. And why do we undervalue? Because we are thinking, oh, it's just T-shirts and a fabric hardener.
No.
Not at all.
No, not
right?
at all. Yeah.
So we need to, what you said, I don't like to calculate price by hours, but it took a lot of work for you to make feather by feather. It doesn't matter if the feather is made of T-shirt or of gold. It was the dedication that you put into that.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Exactly.
So the price needs to be according to that.
Yeah.
And not something else. And surely not, oh, I think people will pay, is again a matter of finding the right person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Excellent.
Caleb is asking, can you embed stones and glass? Ooh, Caleb, I can see this coming to fruition. Can you embed stones and glass gems, etc.?
Absolutely.
Yes, that's the
absolutely.
fantastic part
On the
about
heron, I don't know if you noticed on the heron, but I do use, those are glass marble eyes.
Oh, can we show again then the heron, so just we can pay attention to the
And actually,
to the eye.
one of
So
the-
those are stones? Those
Well, they're just the little flat glass marbles, basically. Yeah, you can see it quite clearly there. But my latest thing that was a tip that I had gotten from our distributor in Alberta. She uses the cat's eye marbles.
Okay. Oh.
And so she'll bury the bin just a little bit, so they're out a little bit more rounder. But the cool thing is the cat's eyes all have, you know, the different direction you look at it, it turns. So those are my next series of herons.
And it could have on
those eyes.
The wings or whatever you're creating.
Absolutely.
You could embed all those.
Oh, yes.
I think you should tell Caleb that Paverpol works really well as a glue.
Absolutely,
right?
yes. And even if you've got something broken that you need to fix, it will work as a glue as well.
That's
too
fantastic.
for that. So yeah.
Do you have a favorite color that you work with? Or?
Oh, I love it's hard because I really love the dramatic of the black. Like, and I've done black with the gold has been turning out some really cool pieces, but the bronzes are always so nice, and we're working on gray right now, and they all turn out nice. To me, it's about the folds in the fabric. So the color doesn't matter.
The color is just to highlight it.
Is the highlight everything.
Yeah.
So you told me the heron is one of your best sellers. What are the kind of sculptures sell really well?
My tipsy ladies. So that's the other thing, is when you're doing the art walks, you need to have that small investment for people, so that they can take something home of your art and get that connection with you. The stories get starting created.
They show to their friends.
They show to their friends. They're loving it, and all of a sudden, so you need to have that price point where they're going to be able to, afford to make an on-the-spot decision. Quite honestly.
What's that price point?
Under $100.
Under $100.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so the herons are 4. So that's a little, that's a.
But you told me you always have an angel or a fairy as well, right?
Yeah, and angels and fairies, Like I say, now I'm working on having an angel or a fairy, so somebody with wings in my display. And the other thing I really want to make sure that I have, and it's worked very well, is to have something with some crocheting in it as well, too. Because that's that heart connection story, right? Because everybody's got that stash of them hidden in the cupboards, but they're precious because they're made by grandma or a great aunt or somebody that's no longer here, but we just don't decorate with them anymore. And so to take that and turn it into a garden art. So a lot of times my stories, my conversation with the people is I'll show them the herons and kind of get them some idea, get them thinking about where they could put one. And then I'll say, and here's another piece I want you to see. And I said, just imagine your daughter's getting married and you take grandma's old doilies and we'll turn them into a beautiful wedding gift, type of thing. So I'll start planting those seeds and stories that you know, they might turn into something this month. It might not be till next year before that occasion arises. But
that's okay, right?
Yeah,
Because you're
exactly.
planting seeds.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of have to educate people how to preserve memories in different ways.
Yes.
Because not only things that we used to use in the past, like photos, for example, are in boxes now. We don't have a place for them. We live in a very digital world, but you know, memories connect to us in a very emotional level. So sometimes turning something that, like you said, the doilies, nobody has a place for them anymore, but grandma made it or somebody we love made it. Well, let's incorporate that in the piece of art as well.
Yeah.
So it's also an educational process. Guest 593, I seem to have reached a roadblock with my art. How do you deal with that when you reach a roadblock? How do you channel the artist within, even when it's tucked away?
Actually, there's a really good example in that. At the Gossamer Treasures, there's a collective of us, and we're all artisans in our own separate right. Like we've got painters, we've got sculptors, there's me, there's a soap stove guy, and she will have us all come together occasionally and do what she calls an artist in resident night, okay? Day type of thing. And so this happened in February, and we were all coming there, and there's a gentleman by the name of Dave Hogg, and he is incredibly talented. He's a stone carver, and absolutely, I'll have to show you some of his work that he's done, but it's unbelievable. But he had hit that roadblock and he didn't know what to do. And so he had come to this event just to hang around, and he brought this piece of stone, and he's working outside. It's minus 20 below and it's windy, and he's working outside, and we're all in the gallery, right? And he came in and he walked around, but he created this most phenomenal piece.
Just by being there.
Being there, he started, and the lady in pink, is that what you called her?
Yeah.
I will share that picture I'll share it in there because it's absolutely unbelievable. And it's almost like him breaking free and feeling the sun on his face again. And
look at that.
so hang around some artisans.
Yes.
Like just go and look at some things. Like, and not even in the medium that you're working with, I don't care. Like just go and look at some creative work of some people.
I agree with you.
You know?
And you know, if you have in your town groups,
Yes.
right, you may not have an art walk, you may not have what she has in Edmonton, but you have groups, you have guilds. I mean, it's amazing how much other people can take you out of a roadblock moment, right? And for me, it's also trying other mediums. Experimenting without any compromise. Because sometimes we reach a point in what we are doing, we are in that level and it looks like we cannot move forward. We cannot become better, right? That happens in every single thing in life. And it's just because you cannot be that artist the way you are today. So you have to change as a person. And one way of doing that when it comes to art is experimenting something where you don't have the compromise to be good. Right?
No,
it's a new medium. Even if I suck at it, I'm fine. Right?
Absolutely.
And then you go and you free yourself a little bit so you can actually change inside so you can go to the next level.
And in this collective at the Gossamer Treasures, it's been interesting because one of the very good, strong artists had come in and looked at another, her name is Cindy, and he looked at some of Cindy's art. Is that Cindy's? Wow, that's so different. Because of us getting together and just kind of, and it's not even telling each other we should try this or try that.
No,
she'd see
just
this and she'd see that, and I see her, and we're all trying new things because of what we're seeing. I think it's that collective as well too that gave me the courage to try the dragon, type of stuff. So so it's been real. Being around the people, like-minded people.
I think that's important because it's very easy for us to isolate ourselves in a studio. We like that space, right? And we isolate from everything.
But sometimes it can close in on you.
Sandy's saying thank you both. Well, any final wise words, Jack?
No, not really. Just keep along. I'm going along for the ride. And I'm the grunt of the group. And every artist needs a grunt.
Beverly?
I just thank you, Shahar, because I don't always have time to catch all of the things that you do, but I know anytime I do catch it, I get some wisdom. And it's wisdom about being an artist, about being a business person, about being a human being, it's just, I love it. So thank you
you.
for everything that you do.
Thank you very much. And Bree saying, hello, excited I got to catch part of this live. Bev, your second class is wonderful. Nice to meet your hubby. I think she was one of the people that requested
She was
to see the
asking
hubby.
for you.
Yeah, that's very good.
You're
Thank
gonna
you
get
so
new
much.
groupies,
Oh,
Jack.
that's good. Maybe I'll become an artist one day.
Oh, we are working on that.
We are working on that. You're
working on
coming
that.
tonight. You're coming tonight. So
Beverly, if people want to know more about you, of course, we have 2 courses at Curious Mondo. One is still live, so you can still catch on tomorrow for the last day from 9 to until it ends Mountain Time. And you have another one coming in October. But how do people find more about your work and
So I'm
what's
on
going
Facebook.
Okay.
And I know
Beverly Oliwa?
Beverly Lynn Miller Oliwa. I've got my maiden name in there as well too. And my studio is Creative Fire
Okay.
Fire Studio. I have a Facebook page, and I've also just set up, since I was here last, a Creative Fire Studio Bev Oliwa artist page where I'm just featuring my art.
Okay, that's cool.
Because the other Creative Fire Studio page is more about the teaching and the students and stuff. But I do have a Creative Fire Studio Bev Oliwa page, and then I have creativefirestudio.ca.
Yeah.
.ca is my website. So.
Wow, cool.
Okay,
Very
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So that's how you get in touch with her. Of course, again, she's still live with the intermediate sculpting with Paverpol. Tomorrow is the last day. You can watch for free from 9, 10, 11, 12, right?
Yep.
From 9 to 12 Mountain Time. And it's interactive.
It's been a long day.
It was. It's still not over, right? And of course, she's also going to offer a certification course on Paverpol with us. She'll be recording Thursday and Friday, so you guys can get more information about that. Thank you so much for being here and to participate. Every week we bring another artist and talk about a little bit about the art, a little bit about life, a little bit about business, right? Because that's what it is. It is a mix. And our husbands, when we have them, we didn't bring the dog. We didn't show the dog. Livy also came from Canada to Utah, right? And she's been very patient with this too.
Yeah.
While they work hard here. But thank you so much for being here. This is Creativity in Focus, a live podcast where we highlight an artist every week. I'm Shahar Boyayan, your host, and I hope to see you back here next Tuesday. Thank you so much.